Hello and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of the day you're watching. I'm so glad to be here on another Friday live. Woohoo! It's a little bit dreary outside here. It's a bit dark. Just UK and their weather. We're getting to the autumn season, but we will not let the weather, dictate our mood. We will not let the weather dictate our countenance. We find joy in whatever season that we are in, and that's just by the way. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm so grateful to have you as an audience here on another Friday Live. And in the next 30 to 45 minutes, we'll just run down through rhythms of renewal, life design that restores you instead of draining you. Hello, Esther. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Ngozi. Thank you for joining us. So let's just go right into it. No time, as they say in Nigeria. No time to waste. Anyway, let's just go right into it. Welcome again. And this is week 4. Hello, Bukola. Good afternoon. And this is week 4. We've been doing a Living Beyond Rediscovery Series for the past 3 weeks. So this is the 4th week. And today we are, as I've said, we're looking at rhythms of renewal, life design that restores you instead of draining you. And in the last 3 weeks, we've worked on our body, our emotions, and our belief about time. But today our focus is the rhythm underneath it all, the pace that either restores you or drains you. So, there's something that, happens with us, especially with women. I don't know so much about men because I'm not really a man. I'm just joking. But there's something about us as women, that constant hum that is, in our rhythm is the invisible vibration between a woman, beneath a woman's life. That constant, you keep going, you need to be there, you need to, do this, do that constant hum, that invisible vibration, that's, it's not that loud. It's not like everybody around you can hear your own hum. All of us carry our own individual hums, but nobody is hearing the other person's hum, but we are carrying that hum. It never stops. It's the mental checklist running in your mind. Oh, what's for dinner? Do I reply to that message? Does he really love me? He's not even answering me the way, I'd love to be answered. That invisible load. Are the kids okay? Okay, my child has come back from school now. She's upset. Am I a good mother? Even questions like, am I a good mother? Am I doing enough as a mom? So many questions. It's the constant home. Like the child cries and you're like, oh God, am I failing at this parenting thing? That constant home. Is that invisible labor, the emotional, mental, and spiritual energy that no one sees, but everyone benefits from. Everyone benefits from your being on top of dinner. Everyone benefits from your, checking the kids' homework, picking them up from school, dropping them off at school. Everybody benefits from a woman being a wife, to be honest. The mom benefits, the children benefit, the husband benefits because he just needs to focus on, as traditionally providing and all that. The For many of us, that hum began early. We're taught, directly or silently. They might have said it directly, might just have been modeled to us, that a woman's value lies in our ability to keep things together. I was reading a story. I sometimes I screenshot the stories because they help me also with the work that I'm doing. So I was reading a story of a lady who was saying that she now understands why her mom was always in the bathroom crying. And when she was a child, she would just hear her mom in the bathroom crying, and she didn't understand. And now that she's a mom, she's found herself doing the same thing. The life just got overwhelming. She didn't even understand at the time that, they would need things in the house, and her mom literally had to sacrifice buying things for herself, wearing the same clothes. Some of us have one particular dress that we've had for 10 years, maybe in our wardrobe, things like that. So she didn't understand, but now that she's a mom, she understood the pressure of trying to bring up children. Do I do this for myself, or do I do it for the child? Obviously, a lot of times we choose the children, and that whole, so directly or indirectly, that woman was not really taught that you need to sacrifice, but it was passed down. It was passed down to her, and in her value starts to lie in her ability to keep things together. while there's this silent, conditioning that tells us that while the man's job is to provide, we sustain the house. So we are the ones that find ourselves usurping our comfort. If he has to move to another city, we find ourselves having to move to that city. Maybe not all of us, but you get the gist, you get what I mean. And then we hold the home, we hold the moods in the home, the meals, the emotions, just every single thing. We fill every gap. We sometimes these things even go without acknowledgement, and it's a real thing. In a mental invisible load is a real thing. It's a real thing for a lot of women. Even if you're a single mom, it's a real thing, because you're thinking, how do I help this child? How do I, bring up my child? How do I do this? How do I do that? And it can get draining. So that constant hum, that thing that sometimes I talk about in our lives. They say you're constantly looking tired. That constant hum, just noise, background noise, mental tabs open in the background. And then we carry that home, as we have seen our mom doing the same thing. Now we have carried that home into adulthood. So, I read a lot of posts, and I read a lot of, women who say they didn't understand that marriage was such a gendered role. Women should stay at home, give birth to children. Women are nurturers by God's design. But the fact that it didn't occur to them that their husbands would go to work and come back and not even help in the house, it was such a trigger for a lot of women, and it's such a big trigger. You're like, you don't see what I'm doing as work. But that's how, most of us have inherited it from our parents. So we've carried this into adulthood. And even when the house is quiet, our minds are not constantly racing. Our minds are constantly racing. Constantly racing. What can I do next? What can I deal with next? Blah, blah, blah. Even in church, even on holiday, you go on holiday, you're still thinking you're the one that is going on holiday, but you have to make the meals for the next 7 days because you're going on holiday. So you're not even saying, okay, I'm going on holiday, I'm just going to shut down. You are still going to think about what this child is going to wear morning, afternoon, night, what's going to eat morning, especially if you have younger kids who are fully dependent on you. You do all the whole, when I'm away, they need this, they need that, they need that. Some of us have to put notes. This is what has to happen at 2 o'clock. This is what happens. It's a lot. And it's not labor that feels like you're doing labor. It doesn't feel like anything, like you're bringing any magic into the house. It just feels like normal. Someone is carrying the mental load of the family. And a lot of times it's the women. And that constant hum just stays in the background, stays loud, stays, uncontrolled. So because somewhere deep down we believe that so our bodies find it hard to fully relax. You wake up in the morning, you're already thinking about what are these children going to eat. So our bodies are constantly in that hypervigilant state. We can't relax, and we think that, oh, peace has to be earned. I want to ask if you can relate to all I've said, that I'm not speaking into the air. Can you relate to all I've said? That feeling, the feeling that rest is indulgent, the feeling that, stopping means that, the house might fall apart. There was one particular day I just told myself, you know what, the house can stay dirty, Debbie needs to rest. But honestly speaking, it's a hard thing to do, because you know that, as we say, to still meet you in front, you still have to go and do it in front. So what's the point, right? You're not imagining it. It's not weakness, it's just conditioning. It's the way we have been, conditioned. But there's good news. You can actually structure your day. You can actually, bring rhythm into your day, because if you don't pause, your body will force you to pause one day. We've talked about people who are, just have to go to the hospital, rush to the hospital. They say, oh, she was fine. Oh, she was actually doing everything. She actually cleaned the whole house and she just slumped. It's not us, right? But these are the things. If we don't learn to pause, if we don't learn to allow to shut down the home, the background noise, it's not going to be good for our system. It's not going to be good for our face, the way our face carries the stress, the way our shoulders are tensed, because this tenseness, these things that happen also affects our health. It's not just because we want to be models to our children. It also affects your health, because what it is that you're chasing, what it is that you are looking after, it can affect your health, and then you can't even do anything. So let's let's pause and think about this. Have you ever been so busy, so busy doing good things? Taking care of your family is a good thing, that you lost your joy in them. Do you look at these children and you're saying, oh, I love them, but I don't feel any joy doing this thing. I don't feel any happiness doing this thing. You've lost the reason why you said, okay, I want to have kids, I want to take care of these kids. Do you feel that you have lost your joy? These things have drained you so much. This constant hum has has drowned the sound of laughter and joy in your heart. I want us to look at understanding rhythm. Rhythm is the invisible pattern guiding your how your energy rises and falls. Your body has rhythm: heartbeat, breath, menstrual, and sleep cycles. Our body was created, with a rhythmic pattern. If you look at it every 28 days, if you're on time, if you're one of those women that, your menstrual cycle is on time. I know there are women who will struggle. There's a 28-day cycle. If you look at your sleep, there's a sleep cycle. If you listen for your heartbeat, there's a rhythm, to it. If you even the way you breathe, so when you start breathing abnormally, then there's something wrong. But even your breath has a rhythm. Your home has a rhythm. You wake up in the morning to do school runs. You have meals at certain time of the day. You have family rituals, and even your emotions have a rhythm: expansion, contraction, reflection, action. So where you are, you're in that state of happiness, or you're in that state of sadness. We are creatures of rhythm. When you move against your natural rhythm, you live in resistance, and that's where you are constantly racing against. It feels like you're racing against life. It feels like you're racing against time. But because when you are against your natural rhythm, you live in resistance. I'll give you an example. Some people, for instance, their their highest energy is usually in the morning. Some people, their highest energy is in the morning. When you take that morning energy and you use it to do something that is not that, if you take that morning energy and you're not using it for your highest creative work per se, you're going to be drained. So by the time you now finish using your morning energy to do things that are mundane, where your low energy period can help you to do those things, you find out that by the time you want to do high energy tasks, that's when you're tired, you're irritable, because you've used high energy to do things that don't matter. So this webinar, this Friday Live, is going to try and help you to see how can you structure your day so that you're not moving against your natural rhythm. You're not moving against the way you've been created, the way your energy system is focused, so that you're not living in resistance. Even with the menstrual cycle, I've said it here before. There are times that your energy is high, your energy is low. It's best for you to allocate tasks based on your energy, so that you're not stressed. You're not thinking, oh, I'm not achieving much, I'm not able to do much, I'm not able to move at this time. When you know that, okay, when my energy is high, that's when I do all my highest, biggest work, because that's when the energy is. I won't you don't use your high energy period to catch up on gist or waste time. Or for instance, your instead of finding a way to be mindful throughout the day, you fill every minute of your day with noise. Instead of finding, so you sit down, you're having breakfast, have breakfast in silence, be mindful about what's in front of you, what's on your plate, where did it come from, how did it grow, things that help your mind to calm down. But because you're so used to noise, you say, okay, I'm going to have breakfast, but I'm going to blast the music on high, or blast the TV on high, or even be on the phone call with someone else, just because I cannot afford to be quiet. Let's just go on. When you move against your natural rhythm, I said, you live in resistance. When you move with it, you live in grace. There are two competing rhythms. There's the rhythm of the world, the one that tells you urgent, time is going, perform, be productive, constant comparison, just says, keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. Don't fall behind, though, don't let them shame you. That kind of sense of urgency. There's a sense of urgency, yes, but when you move with a sense of urgency that the world is, pushing you, you you it doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do you any good. And there's a rhythm of renewal, presence. You pace, you move with purpose, you move at the speed of peace. So whatever you're doing, you're not moving because you're trying to prove a point, or you're trying to, be like someone else. It's not an urgency that comes from, I must perform just because I want to show everybody that me too, I can be successful. That's a very, very wrong ground, and it doesn't bring peace. Be successful because it is your right to be successful. It is your heritage to be successful, not because you want to prove a point to the village people that you too, you can be successful. That's a very, very, very dangerous place to operate. When you align your reading with peace, you begin to breathe again. So for instance, instead of saying I'm going to clean the kitchen up until midnight, if everywhere is not spick and span, I'm not going to bed. Ask yourself, how much hours of sleep do you need? Because even in, finding your reading, you need to, as much as they say, only lazy people sleep or something like that. It's not true. Your body needs rest. So instead of telling yourself that I'm going to push and push and push till midnight, what can I do? Right? You said I feel attacked. I'm not talking to you. Just some of these things are not even in my notes. They're not even in my notes. It just comes as I'm speaking, because the examples come. I literally am, I see I see pictures of a woman who is struggling with this thing, right? And you're saying I'm going to push till midnight. Okay, 9 o'clock. Why don't you have a closing time? When you go to the office, people have a closing time. Why don't you have a closing time for your kitchen? I've studied here before. 6 o'clock, my kitchen should be closed if there's no activity for the day that pushes us. Because sometimes you do after school activity, it pushes you. But I've begun to teach my children that I am not in the kitchen after this time of the day. I don't know what you're doing inside there, but I'm not. I want to sit down with you and have some evening time with you. So close it. Let's close. Teach them that there's a closing time. There's no endless demand on my time. I'm sorry, I can't. You shouldn't do it. There's no endless demand on my time. Mommy really does need to recalibrate. So you tell yourself, I'm not going to leave this kitchen every single night. Why don't you make a schedule that says I will deep clean on certain times of the week, so that it's not every night you're there. Yes, a clean kitchen is good, but ask yourself, at what cost? Every single night you go to bed by midnight, it doesn't even help you. You wake up already, you're tired, or you cannot even wake up early to do the things that your natural early morning disposition, early morning energy will demand from you. You wake up, you're already tired. So even the high energy time, it has chopped into it, it has stolen from it. So these are the things that you should be mindful for. I'm not saying don't have a clean house, but can you do surface cleaning just because you also are important and you need to rest? Another example will be the entrepreneur who keeps creating but never celebrates, never stops to, never stops to say, okay, I have done. You've never really sat down to think how important you are. Even as a mom, let's forget about the entrepreneur for now. As a mom, you've never really sat down to think about how important you are, how you hold systems and you hold your home. So you are never celebrating yourself. When they ask you a question, they say, I'm just a mom. I've warned you here. You never say I'm just a mom. You are you are a force, and you are to be reckoned with. You're not replaceable. So don't act like you are, right? Ask yourself, what do I need to do in this my day to find time for myself to rest? Or is it the woman whose morning starts with the phone instead of her thoughts? So you take up your phone in the morning, and instead of, praying, instead of journaling, instead of, spending time with yourself, you've already started attending to all the external family member problems that are on the group WhatsApp group. No, 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 no. Have a my phone is off time. Hello, peace. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a my phone is off time. I am not accessible time. I am not for everybody time. It is my time. Have an appointment with yourself. because the more you can begin to push yourself, the more you do things and you tell everybody that as soon as you drop a message, I'm available to answer it to you. I am, what's the word? I do automatic replies because as you are dropping it, I'm answering. I'm here for all of you. You're teaching people that you don't have boundaries and you become the go-to. Yes, it's good to be reliable, but what is the cost of being reliable is the question that I would ask you today. You wake up in the morning, turn off your phone. You're not what's the word? Customer service. You're not customer service. Turn off your phone. Take that phone and turn it off. Even if you use your phone to read a book, turn off. There's a way to turn off every other thing on your phone and only focus on the app that you need. So maybe it's your Kindle, maybe it's your YouVersion, whatever it is. There's a way to turn off every other thing so that every other thing is grayed out and the only thing you can access is what you need for your own growth. If you're not radical about if you're not intentional and radical about how you spend your days, you would only find out that you're living, and constant drain is not one day that is a problem. It's the fact that it happens every day, and then you're living your life in a state of constant drain. And then when you live your life in a state of constant drain, you don't understand why am I not being filled up? Why am I not feeling fulfilled? Why am I not feeling, there's a life that being intentional about living helps you to live. It gives you a fullness, it gives you a sense of fulfillment. Something drops and you're not what's the English word? It's only, I don't know the English word, but koja. You're not perplexed. You're not running off. Your mind is at peace. Your system is flows. You can sit down and you can feel the peace around you. That's the life that you want. So you can't do these things when you're constantly, available. You can't. I know some of us have toddlers here and all that, but when they sleep, what do you do with it? Do you take up your phone? Is that what you do? Sometimes even constantly feeding your mind with other people's thoughts has a way of even disrupting your own thoughts. Your own thought pattern makes your own thought not to be too clear. So I don't have time for the whole world time. This is me, 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 me. Be selfish about the time you spend with yourself or with God, whatever. Be selfish about it. It's very important. Rest is not what you do after you are finished. It's how you keep from becoming finished. I'll say that again. Rest is not what you do after you are finished. So I've finished taking everybody. I've taken care of everybody. Now I can rest. No, it's how you keep yourself from becoming finished. If you don't rest, you will become finished. Even God rested after, 7 days of creation. So I want you to just reflect. What's the current reading in your life? Where do you feel rushed? Where do you feel restored? Just think about it as I speak. Are you feel that are there parts of your life that you're feeling rushed? Are there parts of your life that are feeling restored? Have you created readings that helps you feel restored? For instance, what's your morning routine like? Is it a routine that starts and ends in chaos? Is it, is there an endless to-do list? I was listening to somebody one day, and then the person said, just choose one thing that you can do. Say multitasking, they say, is a myth. I've read that before. It says it's a myth that you want to do so many things in the day. It's just a myth. So finish one thing, go to the next thing. But before you go to the next thing, transition. Have a white space in your day that before I go to the next thing, I must breathe. It might be 2 minutes, but you need to teach your nervous system how to stop rushing. It's just, I feel like, especially for us who were born in Lagos, that Lagos gra life, in fact, the buses don't even wait. You're just cha, 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 constantly going. You need to get here, you need to get there. So you are, every time we see you, you're rushing. Is it the late night scrolling that robs you of rest? Just think about it. Where do you feel rested? Where do you feel restored? To live restored, we're going to now be talking about designing rhythms that restore. To live restored, you must design rhythms intentionally, daily, weekly, and seasonal. It must be intentional redesigning. You can, the first one is your daily rhythm. Ask yourself the flow of your day. How do I begin and how do I end my days? Your start determines your tone, your end determines your rest. You can have a 5 minutes morning pause before touching your phone, or you can have an evening ritual of gratitude, or even stretching. Stretching helps, stretching is good. You can have, or you can have a rule that just says, a simple rule that just says no major decisions after 8 p.m. So after 8 p.m., I've shut down. I have a closing time. I will say it again, have a closing time. You can make these rules. You can tell yourself that, these are the things. Or when I'm eating, no phone. I want to be mindful. I want to be present with that food. Just find somewhere to find a daily rhythm, or even tell yourself, when I'm doing cooking, there's there are musics that help you to stay calm, that help you to reflect. These are the music I'm going to play, classical music, or whatever it is that you fancy. But have a rhythm, have something. And if it's not consistent, your nervous system would not understand that, okay, this is my cue to settle. So it has to be consistent. It has to be something that when you turn it on, when you turn that music on, when you do whatever he said, whatever it was, when you pause, it's like telling you, okay, fine, see, we're going to calm down now. We're going to, we're going to take it slow. We're going to be present. It's just being mindful. You can't live your life rushing every day and expect to live a fulfilled life. You can't live your life without being intentional about how your day goes, because every day is accumulation of your life. It's not just one day. It's not a one day thing. This then becomes your pattern and your life. Your weekly rhythm, your reset. You can create anchors that tell your body and soul, you can exhale now. Example, a Sunday with no schedule, a Friday family games or walks, just something that would speak to you, something that would remind your body that, okay, see, let's calm down. Today is for play. We're going to play with the kids. We're going to just do family game night, or even a solo coffee date where you dream and you plan. Go out by yourself. There's nothing there, or just sit down, have your journal in front of you. You just dream and you plan and you put it down there. And then your seasonal reading. Honor how your energy shifts with life seasons. Some months you can build, some months you can breathe. So don't, you're not just living. Tell yourself you're going to have a rest. There's this period. So for me, I noticed that between June and July, for some reason my energy just kind of dips, and I said, okay, instead of fighting it, because I used to hate it so much, things had been consistent in by June or July, I'm struggling to be consistent, and I just really, really hated it. And I said, come see, it's happened 2 years now, and it comes from me noticing from my journaling and all that this was my pattern. So I said, instead of fighting June and July, deep, why don't I just take it as my rest season? So I'm not saying that in your rest season you're not working, but you are giving yourself time to breathe again. Because when you don't give yourself time to breathe again, your creativity now dwindles, right? So if you're a mom of young kids, you might need to realize that you need more stillness than speed. So you need to be able to, be more patient with them. You're not going to put a airtight schedule that the children will need to be racing after you. So you're not, and a lot of these things, you see, when I think about it, it's in the way even we were brought up, that constant rushing, the rush out of the house. So you're constantly rushing for everything. No, if you have a toddler, if you have a young person, that's a season of life. You are teaching them independence. Teaching them independence is very hard. It takes a lot of time. So you're supposed to be somewhere by 10. You don't just start rushing the house and it takes you 15 minutes to get there. Don't rush out of the house 15 minutes to 10. No, don't do that. You have a toddler. Go at a slow pace. You need more stillness than speed. So they want to, how they can be. I want to wear my shoes myself. I want to do this myself. And then you are like, you're not giving them the opportunity to even grow the independence that they are seeking. So instead of 15 minutes to 10, takes us 15 minutes together, let's do 30 minutes. You give a leeway for the child to also do this thing, to go at the child's space. So it's a season. She's not going to remain a toddler forever. He's not going to remain a toddler forever. It's just a season. So understanding your seasons is very important. That, you need more stillness, than speed. If you're entering into the empty nest years, you might need a new creative movement. Now that my children are leaving the house, patience with toddlers, it's 5 and 6, you need it. Now that my children are living in the house, what can I do? You're creating rhythm. So understanding your season in life, understanding where you are is really important. Renewal does not happen by accident. It's built into the structure of your days. And the structure of your days is something that you would need to sit down to be intentional about. So there's a myth, that tells you that, renewal is spontaneous. So you just randomly took one day off to the spa, and then you think, oh, that spontaneous renewal, will do it for you. But the honest truth is that renewal doesn't just happen. It has to be built. It's not when you go to the spa date. It's not when you go to go and get a massage. It's not when you do. It has to be built into the structure of your day. So most women wait for renewal to just happen. They tell themselves, wait, when things calm down, I'll rest. When the children are older, I'll rest. I'll rest. Keep on postponing the rest. But life rarely gives permission slip for peace. You have to take it yourself. You have to design what you want. It doesn't give you permission slip for peace. Responsibilities will always multiply. The hum will grow louder. The rest becomes a fantasy, something you crave but never quite reach. So rest now becomes something that you are like, I just need to rest, but it's not happening. Renewal is not an event you stumble into. It's a rhythm that you yourself, you architect. It doesn't begin on a holiday, on a retreat. It begins in your ordinary days. How do you live your day life, day to day? I know that parents will toddlers will say that this is hard, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. You see, when I was doing some reflection earlier today, and I said every season has a cost. There's a cost to count. There's a cost to count for every season. For everything you want to become, there's a cost that you pay. So if you have toddlers, for instance, there's a cost for it. There's so many things that you would have to let go of if you want to, maintain your own sanity, for instance. So that constant, you're there, you want to keep in touch with everybody, you want to be there, you will have to ask yourself, what's more important to you, conserving your energy or just, being there and, being constantly on your phone. There's something that if you look at your life very well, there's something that you would need to give up. If you need to sleep when children are sleeping, all well and good. Your body needs that rest. Your body needs to rest, recover. So it's in how you wake up, transition between tasks, speak to yourself, and even close your night. Even the way you speak to yourself. What are your inner thoughts? Are they part of the things that are draining you because you've told yourself you're not good enough, or you're not this, or you're not that? What are your inner thoughts? These are even the things that steal the rhythm of your day. So I want you to understand that when you structure your day to, incorporate this rest, incorporate this, rhythms, it's also a spiritual practice. It's even when God created the world, he created it through rhythm. There was light, and then there was darkness. There was work and there was rest. There was creation and there was reflection. So it's not just, random. There's rhythm. Find your own rhythm. Find your own rhythm. Don't try and live life against your rhythm. It will only stress you out. It's the same divine principle that applies with you. When you intentionally design your days, aligning with your natural energy, aligning with your season, aligning with your purpose, you make room for renewal to flow. So, for instance, you have young children, and you know very well that your dream has always been to travel the world. If you can't do that at the time when they are young, can you live in the season that you are in? Can you appreciate and accept the season that you're in, so that you're not putting yourself under undue pressure, undue stress? Can you accept that this is the season that I am in? I can't just be everywhere and nowhere, just constantly on the move. Can you accept that season? That's what helps you to even, adjust your life to a seasonal rhythm, for instance. Without structure, renewal leaks away. With structure, renewal becomes sustainable. So we're going to look at a few, let me see, how many more minutes do I have? Okay. We're going to look at a few examples. We're going to look at a few examples. There are two types of reading, the one that drains and the one that renews. So waking up and checking your messages, what does it do for you? You can actually, change that rhythm and say, wake up and sit down in silence for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. Push through lunch, step aside, breathe some fresh air. When last did you just step aside and look at the skies and say, oh, wow, the skies are beautiful, in awe and wonder of, nature? When last did you do that? Even when you're taking a walk with your children, are you rushing them through the walk? Or are you looking at the awe and the wonder? Are you telling them, these are the things that subconsciously they change how we react, they change how we behave, how we respond. Are we saying yes to every request, or are we practicing one graceful no, just for the just for the fun of it? Just tell somebody, no, no, we're not doing this, we're not doing this today. Even if it's your kids, no, we're not doing this. I need to I need to sit down and rest. Or are you that one that, that mom that always, every request you want to fill up, every request you want to give into? Collapsing into a draining rhythm could be collapsing into bed exhausted, or you can decide to end your day with reflection and gratitude. So these are two rhythms, right? These are examples of two rhythms, especially with the phone. I found out that the phone is one very, very strong tool to drain us. You don't know sometimes how you get how you pass 2 hours or 3 hours or even 40 minutes. It doesn't matter on your phone. It's a time waster. So tell yourself, I'm going to be intentional about putting this thing away. Sometimes I leave my phone in my office. Just be intentional about putting your phone away and being present, present, presence, present, present with your thoughts, presence with the people in the house with you, presence. How can you build renewal into your day? The first step is identify your natural rhythm. When are you most creative? When are you most alert? When are you most reflective? Align your key tasks to your natural energy zone. We've talked about that already. Create renewal anchors. Set up 2 to 3 daily checkpoints when you pause to rest. Each example, after school drop off, before dinner, before sleep, the kids can come back from school and you just tell everybody, okay, let's sit down, instead of rushing. Let's sit down. You sit down around the dining table, you talk about their day, but you sit down. Don't just they come in and then the next thing you've already put water on the fire to make poundo. Yes, they are hungry, but let them even learn to sit down to have those conversations. It's just to have. I know that there's another school activity after school, yes, but just 5 minutes. You're teaching them also that pausing is necessary. They just come back from school, let them sit down, let them be there with you. Or before dinner, what do you do for dinner time? Do you just rush through dinner? Or is dinner time another anchor point in your day for you to connect? So have anchor points in your day. Tell yourself that in this my day, ABCD will be my pause moments, will be my anchor points, will be my checking points. You can put reminders on your phone until you're used to it. Pause, check. On what frequency am I operating on? Am I operating on a high frequency? Am I operating on an overheated frequency? What's my frequency right now? Am I upset? Am I agitated? Am I resentful? Pause during your day and check. Step 3, protect the sacred gaps. Don't fill every space. Margin is medicine. So instead of just saying that 8 to 10, we're going to do this, then 10 to this thing, don't fill every space. 8 to 10, before you get to the next activity, there should be maybe like 10 minutes, a buffer zone. Pause. Give yourself permission to stop, even when things aren't done. And that thing is such a big thing for us women. Even when things are not done, give yourself permission to stop. I had to learn it. A perfect house, a clean house, and a disgruntled mom is still not a perfect house. right? Everywhere is spick and span, everywhere is so clean, everywhere is so nice. But inside of you, you carry this resentment, and your resentment and your resentment and your disgruntledness is an aura also for the house. So it's beyond a clean house. Your aura that you're carrying around, the tiredness that you're carrying around, the fact that you cannot stop, pause, and breathe that you're carrying around is also an aura in that house. And it can also make the children so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. They won't say it, but there's this thing that a house should become a home, should become nice and cozy. And it's not the cleanliness, it's the energy that you're carrying. And then the last step is a weekly audit. Did you ask yourself questions like, did this week drain me or did it restore me? Pause and check. Always checking with yourself. The way you will go into a doctor's office to check in with the doctor about your health, do self checks. Ask yourself, pause and ask yourself questions. How do I feel? Do I feel drained? Do I feel restored? Because it's in the pausing, is in the lack of pausing and not checking in with you that makes you to continue to go. And then at the end of the day, you don't even understand where your life has headed. You just notice that there's nothing. You can't give a tangible description of where you are, where you're going. You don't know so much about you. Study yourself, right? Study, because it helps you to make adjustments where you need to make adjustments. When you're conscious and you're aware of who you are and the things that drain you, you will make effort. You tell yourself, oh no, this phone call to Adewale, I'm not going to make it again, or Adebisi, or whatever it is, I'm not going to make this phone call again, because every time I call him, every time I call her, she's there's one gossip sha. You would now understand, okay, I finished talking to this person and I didn't feel refreshed. So what's the point? You will start to, map out the people you will map out your the people who are energize you. You will map them out. Those are the people you keep close. And then you start to tell yourself, okay, these are superficial friendships. These are, just do a check-in and adjust accordingly. There's renewal in action. So when you take action after, doing this check-in, renewal happens. So things like the questions you can ask yourself at the end of every day is, what part of my daily structure is draining my energy? What small repeatable reading could I add that restores me? Like I said, I've always said, my children know my they know my song. They know the song that calms me down. So sometimes, even when everywhere is getting too hot and everywhere is getting too hot and they are just saying that mommy wants to explode again, my daughter will just say, Alexa, play. She knows the song. And honestly speaking, that thing really helps, because now my body is getting to understand that once I play that song, see, you need to calm down, right? So what small repeatable reading could I add that restores me? If renewal were my priority, what would my day look like? So ask yourself those questions. If renewal was my priority, what would my day look like? Where can I insert pauses? Where can I say, phone off, just me, just sitting down? Does journaling help me? If you realize that, okay, journaling helps you to renew your day, you won't give an excuse and say that you're being haphazard with your journaling. You will take your journaling very seriously. Don't live in a state of constant hypervigilance. It doesn't help. So renewal is not a reward for rest. It's the rhythm, sorry, that keeps you whole. The life you desire is hiding inside the structure you design. There's a life that you're desiring. You want to have a structured life. You want to have a beautiful life. You want to live in rediscovery. You want to live in fullness and in purpose. It's hiding in the structure you design. So the structure you design is so important to your living in purpose, living in power, living in fulfillment. Is so important. You have to be intentional about creating a structure for your day. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't wait for peace to appear. Build it into your day. Don't wait for external circumstances trying to bring peace into your day. Build it into your day. Let every meal, every pause, every breath be part of your rhythm of renewal. Because the woman who designs her day with intention doesn't just survive her life, she sings through it. So at this point, we've come to the end of another Friday Live. Renewal isn't indulgence, it's intelligence. Even your creator rested after creation, not because he was tired, but to show us that completion requires pause. So a day ends, and that's the complete day. It requires pause. It doesn't require you to take up your phone. It doesn't require you to even TV sometimes. I'm sorry, I know that TV can is a very controversial topic, but for me, I even find it draining. I find it quite draining. You sit down there, somebody else is feeding his thoughts into you or her thoughts into you, and then you just kind of literally slip off in front of the TV. I don't know. It doesn't always work for me, but I don't want more background noise. I don't want more mental tabs in open. I want to be able to shut down all the mental tabs, behind me. When you live from constant rush, you confuse movement with meaning. When you design space to breathe, gratitude returns. You will parent better, you will think clearer, and you will create more deeply when your reading matches your peace. You will parent better and you will think clearer. You will create more deeply when your reading matches your peace. A rushed soul cannot hear God. Your peace is a productivity tool. Right. So protect your peace at all costs, because that's your productivity. The way to stay productive, you can't create from chaos, really. So your peace is your productivity tool. And the life that restores you is the one you've designed with intention. So after you've left this Friday live today, I just want to ask you one question. What are you going to do differently? What are you going to do, to intentionally infuse peace into your day? What are you going to do? It could be something as simple as even lighting a candle, just so that the aroma can fill, the room. Calming activities, meditation, mindfulness, things that calm your soul. Don't end your day feeling so drained. Design, structure your day in such a way that every point of your day you have anchors that infuses peace into your day. I want us to end with this declaration. I choose renewal over rush. I design a life that restores me, and I give myself permission to pause. Especially the last one, I give myself permission to pause. So breathe. Remember to breathe as you go through your day. Remember to breathe. And thank you so much for joining me. This is something I'm passionate about, because at your Discovery Coach, but we teach women to live intentionally, because transformation has to show up in your everyday reading. Transformation doesn't show up with one big event. It shows up with your everyday living. So it's so important for you to take this transformation, to take your everyday as important as you're going to say. The way people wait for, the next 10 years. The next 10 years does not start in the next 10 years. The next 10 years starts with the 1 minute every day you spend every day, with the 1 day you spend every day. That's how you get the accumulation of the next 10 years. So the next 10 years will not magically become blissful when your everyday reading is out of sync. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll remind you one more time, hey mamas, let's start living. See you next Friday.